This is a recording on what to do when a loved one dies. This is some helpful ideas or tips with some of the basic information that you need. It's not designed to replace the need of your own attorney, but to give you some general information when this happens. This is a very difficult event to deal with the death of a loved one. For example, in 2002 in Riverside County, my father died. He was 87 and he had had a heart attack early in the morning that day. And my adult son discovered him and that he was not breathing. And so my son called 911. And as a result, the fire department sent someone out and took the body and they took it to the coroner's office. Every county has a coroner, and the coroner must pronounce a person dead. And it is from the coroner's office that you get a declaration of death, and you can buy a death certificate from the county. And then we arranged for a mortuary. He had a pre-planned burial plan to pick up the body from the coroner's office, and we arranged for his funeral, and the body had to be taken to San Diego, and the mortuary transported the body to San Diego, where he was interned into a museum. And so that was one of my first personal experiences with the death in the family. And then in 2009, my husband died, but he died in a hospital, and there was a doctor available on duty. And so the doctor was the one who gave the legal pronouncement of death. And then the mortuary takes the body, and we plan for the funeral services. So it's a very traumatic event. In my case, I'd been married 37 years, so it was really a major event. It felt like a bee sting to lose the death of a spouse. I always say that the husband or wife, whoever handles the business affairs, should train the other one on how to be a widow or a widower. I know someone who married at age 15, and the husband took care of all the business affairs, wrote all the checks, paid all the bills, had the income. And when he passed, she had no way of even writing a check or understanding the business affairs because she hadn't been trained to be a widow. But lucky for her, her daughter was very good at handling the affairs. So that's important when others can step up, close friends or family members, to help handle the affairs of the deceased. Now, the person, they might have dependents or pets that need to be cared for immediately, and someone needs to be called to do that. If the person has an employer, he or she must be notified that this person has passed away. You can request information about any benefits that are due, and also you can ask if there's any life insurance through the company. Usually only the beneficiary of the life insurance policy can gain that information. So the person who is named as the beneficiary, they're entitled to get that information. So those are some of the few things you may want to do immediately, but within a few days, you can look to arrange for funeral, memorial, or burial or cremation services. You can search through the person's documents to find out whether they have a prepaid burial plan. You can ask a family or a friend to go with you to the mortuary. And also you may want to prepare an obituary for the paper. Cremation is becoming a lot more popular now today, as caskets have become much more expensive. Many more people in America are choosing cremation. Now, it's important to know if the person was in the military or belonged to any religious group, and then you need to contact that organization. For example, the VA has certain benefits to help provide for cemeteries, for funeral services, and for burial. Certain religious groups have certain requirements on clothing and that, and they need to be notified. What you need to do is ask a friend or relative or neighbor to keep an eye on the person's home, or to answer their phone, or to collect the mail. Sometimes the person has to watch the mail for about a year to find out all the various bills and assets that the person has. So those are important things to consider in the few days after the death. Now later we look at the county coroner's office. If the person has a will, you take it to the county, like Riverside County, the county court for probate. You can check with your state's laws, because usually the county will probate this state. However, in California, there's a provision if for small estates in California, they do not need to be probated. As of January 1st, 2020, the threshold amount is $166,250. If that amount is not more than that, a probate may not be necessary. So you can look on the web and look at the affidavit of small estate, because that is the form that you would need to fill out. Each state has the requirements for that, but in California, it has to be filled out 40 days after the death, and the signature must be notarized. And what you can do is take that asset to the various people that have the property, and then they will release the property to the beneficiary. So there are certain things that are treated differently. If the person has a life insurance policy, the one who's the beneficiary will be the one who recovers. Or if there's more than one, it would be multiple beneficiaries. However, in California, there's a rule that the divorce of the parties revokes any award to that party. And pension funds go by who is the stated beneficiary. Now, if they have a living trust, which is the best of all, then that person needs to be notified.